All right, let's dive straight into a huge topic that sits right at the intersection of technology, law, and, well, the future of rights in India. We're looking at some powerful arguments that came out of a recent legal conference, and the core question we're going to tackle is a big one. It's not just about updating our courts, it's about whether our entire constitutional framework can actually survive in the age of AI.
Everything starts with this one number, 5 crore. Just let that sink in for a second. That's over 50 million cases pending in India's courts. But this isn't just some abstract statistic. It's a flashing red light, a symbol of a system that was already at its breaking point, way before AI even entered the conversation. And we have to remember, behind every single one of those cases is a person, a family, a business, just waiting for justice.
And this quote, man, it just gets right to the heart of it. What good is having a right written down on a piece of paper if you have no realistic way to enforce it? With a backlog this massive, for millions and millions of people, fundamental rights are becoming, well, theoretical. So you see, this isn't just a problem of inefficiency. This is a full-blown constitutional crisis.
Okay, so to really understand the impact AI is having, we first have to get a clear picture of the crisis that was already there. The system was already buckling, failing to deliver on its most fundamental promise to its citizens.
Legal experts have a pretty powerful term for this whole situation. They call it a remedial deficit. And what that means is there's this giant gaping chasm between the rights you're supposed to have and your actual ability to get a solution, a remedy, when someone violates those rights. It's kind of like being given a key, but the door it opens is on the other side of a canyon you can't cross. So why does this deficit even exist? Well, this chart tells a huge part of the story. In India, we have about 21 judges for every million people. Now, just look at the UK. They have more than double that. And the US? 5 times as many. We are asking a tiny group of people to do a completely impossible amount of work. The system has just been chronically, dangerously under-resourced for decades. And here's where it gets real. This is the human cost. We're talking about property disputes that literally outlive the people who started them. People who have to travel for days, spend money they don't have, all for a court hearing that lasts 2 minutes. Businesses that go under just waiting for a contract dispute to be settled. For so many people, the process, it becomes the punishment itself. Okay, so picture that system, stretched to its absolute limit. And now, into that system, we're injecting this incredibly powerful new force, artificial intelligence. But here's the twist. AI isn't showing up as some neutral, helpful tool. No, it's acting as a great unbalancer, pouring gasoline on the fire of these existing power imbalances. And this creates a new and dangerous problem that legal thinkers are calling constitutional asymmetry. This is a really critical idea. Think of it like this. On one side, you have big corporations and the government. Their power to make millions of decisions affecting your life is scaling up exponentially thanks to AI. And on the other side, there's the individual citizen, whose ability to challenge those decisions is still stuck in a slow, expensive 20th century system. That gap is quickly becoming a chasm. I mean, just look at this comparison. The mismatch is absolutely staggering. An AI-powered company can deny 1 million loan applications in a millisecond. Our judicial system, which is supposed to be the check on that power, might take years to review just one of those denials. So how can a system that was built for paper and files possibly keep up with a world run by algorithms and data? And listen, this isn't some sci-fi movie plot. This is happening right now, today. We're talking about automated tax notices that can freeze your bank account without a human ever looking at it. Algorithms that decide if you're worthy of a loan. A gig worker who gets kicked off a platform by a piece of code with no explanation and no one to appeal to. In every single one of these cases, a decision that can change a life is made by a black box algorithm. And the path to getting it fixed is, well, it's often impossible.
So that's the problem. And yeah, it's a big one. It sounds pretty grim. But the conversation isn't just about doom and gloom. It's about a concrete structural response. There's a blueprint for how we could actually use this same technology, AI, to rebalance the scales of justice, instead of just letting it tip them over for good.
The whole proposed solution is built on a really clear 3-pillar framework. It's pretty simple to grasp. First, use AI to make the courts themselves run more smoothly. Second, empower people to solve their problems before they ever have to set foot in a court. And third, and this is maybe the most important, create new ways to hold the algorithms themselves accountable for their decisions.
Okay, so pillar 1 is about efficiency. But let's be absolutely crystal clear on this point. This is not about having robo-judges. AI does not decide who is right or wrong. Think of it more like a top surgeon who uses robotic assistance. The robot does the routine, precise tasks, which frees up the surgeon to focus on the critical, life-or-death judgments. It's the same idea here. AI can handle scheduling, legal research, filing checks, all the administrative grunt work so that our human judges have more time for the one thing a machine can't do: reasoned, empathetic human judgment.
Now, pillar 2 is where things could become a real game changer for the average citizen. You know how UPI totally revolutionized banking in India, making it accessible to anyone with a smartphone? Well, imagine that same concept, but for legal help. Imagine AI platforms that can help you understand your rights in simple language, or tools that help you draft a basic legal document, or even online systems to help you settle a small dispute without ever going to court. We could resolve tens of thousands of cases before they ever join that 5 crore backlog.
And finally, pillar 3, accountability. This is about putting a check on that unchecked algorithmic power. It boils down to a simple idea. If an algorithm makes a decision that negatively impacts your life, you have a right to know why. This pillar calls for things like mandatory disclosure, creating a special fast-track court process for these kinds of cases, and having court-appointed tech experts who can actually look under the hood of these algorithms to see if they're biased or just plain wrong. So you put all of that together, and it brings us to this fundamental choice, this constitutional crossroads that we're standing at right now. Because trying to implement a plan this big, well, it's not easy, and it definitely has its critics and its challenges. Let's just tackle the biggest objection head on, the one you're probably thinking right now. Wait a minute, won't the AI just be biased? And you know what? That is an absolutely crucial and completely valid concern. If you train an AI on our flawed, biased historical data, you're going to get biased results. So are we just trading one broken system for another? Well, here's the counterargument, and it's a really powerful one. The choice we have is not between a biased AI and some perfect, unbiased human system. That perfect system has never existed. Our current system is already riddled with human bias. But the problem is, it's invisible, it's subtle, it's almost impossible to prove or correct. The key difference with an algorithm is that its bias is measurable, you can audit it, you can test it for fairness, you can demand that it be corrected. We're not moving from a perfect system to a flawed one, we're moving from an unauditable bias to an auditable one. The other big pushback, of course, is the cost. But let's put that cost into perspective. The whole 5-year project is estimated at around 4,500 crore rupees. It sounds like a lot of money, right? But now, look at that number compared to what we spend on a single bullet train project, or our annual defense budget. When you see it like that, the question isn't really, can we afford to do this? It's, what do we choose to prioritize? And this really brings us all the way back to the central theme, the core idea of this whole explainer. In a world where AI is scaling the power of corporations and governments to an unbelievable degree, our system for providing remedies, our courts, has to scale up too. If it doesn't, the entire balance of power that our democracy is built on simply collapses. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Is giving our judiciary these kinds of tools just a simple act of modernization, like getting new office computers? Or, when you're facing down the barrel of exponentially scaling AI-driven power, is this actually a fundamental act of constitutional survival?